Today on the channel, I've seen a million figures and I've unboxed them all, but today we're counting down the worst of 2024.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another year-end top 10 list with a twist. As today's video, we've celebrated the best of 2024 from all the different action figure lines. Now we're going to get down to the absolute worst, the top 10 worst figures of 2024 as voted by me. Now you guys know I keep this a pretty positive channel for the most part. However, there's always those figures that go south on you, be it in a review table or later on, or for whatever reason, just doesn't work out. And there is, of course, a lot of great figures, but there's also some absolute hot garbage. And today we're celebrating my top 10 worst action figures of 2024. And of course, these lists are always going to be different. This is my list, as I always say. Put your list in the comments down below. And I would imagine this list especially, everybody's got different lists. Now, this could be price point driven, you just didn't feel it was worth the money. This could be just a hot garbage figure that looks terrible, maybe doesn't look like the character. This could be a figure that broke in a review on you. You never know what might happen there. Or it could be just one of those ones that just doesn't seem like it's worth the value at all. Whatever reason, it is your top 10 list, just like it is my top 10 list. And you're probably saying to yourself, Kyle, why aren't you wearing a Western shirt? Well, I figured if I'm going to celebrate the worst, I should wear the worst outfit in my entire closet as voted by my wife, Angie, of course, great friend of the channel. She hates it when I wear this thing. She thinks it's the most ugly thing that I own. And I said, well, in honor of that, if this is my worst outfit, I'm going to wear it for my top 10 worst action figures of 2024. And as usual, start at number 10, work our way to number 1. Number 1 being the absolute worst figure of the year. Remember, it could be anything you want to talk. If it's something that breaks, doesn't look like it, has staining issues, whatever it may be, it's your top 10 list, just like it's my top 10 list. So, of course, put your list in the comments down below, and let's kick it off at number 10. All right, we begin the top 10 worst figures of 2024 at number 10. And once again, this is my list. Your mileage may vary on this list more than a lot others out there. And of course, number 10 for me might be the best figure of the year for you. You never know. But number 10 for me, some heartache and disappointment coming at the tail end of 2024. They always say how you finish the year is how you're going to begin. Well, I hope that's not the case, as I've had some rough go of some figures over the last month. But coming in at number 10 is one of my all-time favorite figures during the first release to one of my least favorite now. It is the King. It is King Diamond Super 7 Deluxe Edition. And this Deluxe does not hold a candle to the Ultimate. Obviously, a price point difference between the two, so you would expect that a little bit. However, this cape broken right out of the package. And once again, my list, your mileage may vary. You may love this figure because your cape was in great shape out of the package. And I honestly wish I could switch places with you. That's what I'm going to say. But unfortunately for me, broken out of the package, the cape nowhere near as good as the last version of this figure, which we unboxed probably a year plus ago here on the channel. Check that review out. But I love me some King Diamond, but I don't love it when the cape's broken out of the package. That's why the King comes in at number 10. Next up at number 9, there's no breakage with this action figure for me at least, but a lot of people did report this figure breaking right out of the package, which was definitely not a good thing. Nobody wants a broken figure. This one just left a lot to be desired. We were kind of sold a bill of goods, you could say, on this one. This one goes, of course, at number 9 here, back to the Cella Toys days, and it was nice of Epic Toys to fulfill this order. However, it didn't really hit the expectation we had. It didn't quite look the same and had quality issues. We're talking about Sabu in an Elite style figure. Now, cool for what it is, nice to have. I will keep this in my collection. It just could have been so much better, and it just really makes me wish Sabu could get a Legends deal with Mattel. Would love to have an Elite Sabu. It is what it is at this point. I was fortunate, mine did not break, but we did see the original renders to what we got. A little bit of a bait and switch, we could say. So unfortunately, the Cella Toys Sabu has to come in at number 9. We're feeling not so great at number 8, as the number 8 selection was a heck of a deal. Now, I got this when it originally came out, and I think Target, it still goes in and out of stock at $9.99 for an AEW Jazzwares 2-pack. What are we talking about? Well, we're talking a yin and yang of a 2-pack. The MJF being amazing, however, the Jon Moxley figure leaving a lot to be desired. Of course, you got the usual super tall Jon Moxley figure, not the best head sculpt. You got a cool jacket, but this is part of a bigger issue, and this is one of those ones where it just drives you absolutely crazy, especially when you paid full price for this. It is the staining, and we've had staining issues from Jazzwares since the get-go. Hope in 2025 is the year the staining goes away, but we do have staining on this figure right out of the package, and I was one of the first people in the country to get this one. You guys know we unboxed that right away, and it was stained out of the package. I can only imagine people that are picking it up now, the staining is even worse. So very, very difficult when you're paying, you know, $40, $30. I guess it was probably $28, $25, something like that. It's tough to spend that money when you're damaged right out of the package. But I know a lot of people saying that MJF figure made up for it, especially if you got him for $9.99. It doesn't feel so bad about it. But this is part of a bigger issue that just is out there with AEW Jazzwares brand. It is the staining, and this one very, very difficult. Hard to get past for me. It's been in my craw since I unboxed it. This one coming in at number 8. We're at the number 7 spot in the countdown, and number 7, the highest of highs to the lowest of lows. I absolutely love the first version of this figure. Second one, not as cool. I knew going into it as the first version, but I wasn't aware, I wasn't prepared for the hardcore disappointment getting this one out of the package. What are we going to at, of course, number 7? Well, we're going, unfortunately, to my man Cliff Burton from the Super 7 Ultimates line. A cool figure for what it is, but for having his arm break during the unboxing process, it was just unexcusable to me. One of my biggest meltdowns of the year, no doubt about it. Very, very disappointing on this one. I was very lucky. Big Bad's Toy Store did replace this for me. However, the one I had that I was replaced had the exact same issue in the right arm. I had to take a little bit of a razor to scrape off some paint and had to superheat that thing up and work that joint in there, as apparently this is an issue, and I've heard from other collectors that had the same exact issue with this Cliff Burton figure. Very, very disappointing. I did shortly after unbox the Lemmy Super 7 figure, one of my absolute favorite figures of this year, of course, and it also had that arm issue, and I can only imagine if I would have went into Lemmy not knowing of that arm issue, how bad I would have lost my mind, and that Lemmy figure would have been number 1 on my worst figures of 2024. Thankfully, it took Cliff's term of service to take one for the team, and he's done that before, I guess, in his life, to show the way for Lemmy to succeed where Cliff had to fall, unfortunately. Hate to do it. I love Cliff. I love Metallica, but this one was unexcusable. This one comes in at number 7. Next up in the countdown, we're at number 6, and this time we venture to Mattel. We go to their Ultimate Edition line for the WWE brand, and unfortunately we go to one Kevin Owens at number 6. Now, this figure didn't break. There wasn't anything wrong with this figure out of the package outside of just really being disappointing. And this one is really soaked in as times went on. Is Kevin Owens a main player on TV in this day and age? But man, they did him dirty on this Ultimate, just making him so undersized compared to other figures. Just doesn't make sense how that got through. And we're going to talk quality issues with Mattel later on in this video, spoiler alert. But we've had some ups and downs from Mattel this year, unlike any year in the past 5 years since we started this YouTube channel. It's been a good year for new releases from Mattel, but it's had a year plagued with quality issues, unfortunately. And the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both having issues, but the Kevin Owens, for whatever reason, really grind my gears the most, and that's why he comes in at number 6 in the top 10 worst figures of 2024. We've hit the number 5 spot in the countdown of the worst figures of 2024. Where are you sitting? Do you got your list together? Put it in the comments down below, and we're not just celebrating the worst, we're celebrating the best on this channel of 2024, so make sure you subscribe, check out the best of top 5, top 10s, on this very YouTube channel. Appreciate the support out there. But here we are at number 5, and talk about a yin and yang. This one we go to Super 7 for, and Super 7 had some of the best figures from this line of 2024 and some of the worst figures, as you're seeing right here. Coming in at number 5, we're going to the Simpsons line. we're going to Dredrick Tatum here at number 5, and a cool figure when you look at it straight on, but that's about where it ends. If it was a statue, it wouldn't be on this list. However, a lot of quality issues with this one. A little bit too tight in the arms for this. Obviously, you can heat it up, but there's still not enough room to really move successfully the arms. And the legs on this one are very skinny, so he falls over if you're not careful. So you got to have a stand or something holding him down. But his legs will not stay on to save my life. Quality control issues with this one, and I have to think a lot of it has to do with they lost the license. They had to hurry things up at the factory. There wasn't quite the quality control they needed it to be there. Just very, very disappointing as this Simpsons line, some of the best figures of the last couple of years and some of the worst figures of the last couple of years, with Dredrick Tatum coming in at number 5. All right, next up we go to number 4, and this time we take a trip over to NECA, and this is one of the most disappointing toy lines reissue campaigns of 2024, as I was extremely excited for this figure to come out because I had all the original ones and I did sell them when I started having children. I said, okay, got to get some money to pay for these diapers and all that kind of stuff. So I did sell my entire collection. I used to actually have a room in my house dedicated to this series of movies. What are we talking about? Well, we're going to the House of a Thousand Corpses from NECA. Number 4, we're going to Otis. Now, Otis, of course, Driftwood, a favorite character. The Devil's Rejects, my all-time favorite movie. I love that movie. I hope those figures get re-released one day, but when they do that, I hope they do a step up in quality from these House of a Thousand Corpses ones, because usually when things get re-released, reissued, and updated, they're better figures. However, this Otis doesn't hold a candle, no pun intended, to the prior release here. It feels like everything is cheaper and dumbed down and really feels like a cash grab here. And the Captain Spaulding was better, but not by much. It really makes me wish I didn't sell my original ones, but you know what? You got to take care of your kids at the end of the day is what you got to do. But Otis, very disappointing, very sad for me, coming in at number 4 in my top 10 list. We're down to the final 3. The worst of the worst is here today on this YouTube video, and number 3 comes to us once again from the WWE Mattel brand. Of course, one of the most prolific brands out there. They have a lot of releases between all their different toy lines, including WWE. When you're looking at main events, you're looking at Ultimate Editions, you're looking at Elites, the Legends, the Monday Night Wars. You get the picture by now. There is a lot of releases from Mattel. So there's always a chance to have some quality issues like we talked about with Kevin Owens. However, predominantly this year was known as a tough year for Mattel, as apparently they have switched factories from China to Vietnam. It's no secret. It's stamped on the figures that are made in each factory, so you know where they came from. And for whatever reason, that Vietnam factory didn't get the memo to make these figures correctly, and we had a tough about 3-month window of figures having a lot of quality issues, not just paint issues, but also movability issues, things like that. So a very dark time that Mattel would probably like to move on from. You haven't seen them say anything about it because you don't want to bring even more light to it, but very, very difficult. But I am happy to report, if you guys have watched some of the Elite unboxings as of late on the channel, it seems that it has been course corrected. It seems that things have been figured it out. It's just a shame for those figures that were really good that had a little bit of a drawback to them for whatever reason. But for number 3, I'm going to the worst one. Out of all these figures we had issues with, and we had quite a few, some more than others, this one is easily the hottest garbage Mattel Elite line came out with in 2024. Who are we talking about? Well, we're talking about Seth Rollins, but in a plot twist, we're going to the Top Picks version of Seth Rollins. This is unexcusably bad. This is a statue, not an action figure. There is zero movement out of these legs. Zero. I have never seen the hips so tight. Now, in most of my reviews, it's been the right leg has had some tightness. It is both legs on this one. There isn't even a chance for action feature on this one, as you can't move anything on these legs. Just absolutely horrendous. Can't get anything out, can't get anything forward, nothing. And then you take on top of this, it is a re-release, it is Top Pick, so I understand that. So it's something not everybody's going to want. And then they didn't give us real fur chest hair. Mattel, what are you doing? Now, I won't count that part of this. But man, oh man, very difficult, very embarrassing bad on this. This should never leave the line. Obviously, your mileage may vary, but I have to imagine a lot of people have these issues. We also got the pin knees on this one, extremely loose on the pin knees. And I've called out Jazzwares on that for a long, long time about the pin joints. That is one of the reasons I like the pinless joints so much, because they're better for the eye, but they're tighter on the character. This is just a snap away from disaster. So a very, very difficult figure is this Seth Rollins, part of the top picks line in 2024. And he's coming in at a very disgusting number 3. Oh baby, we're down to the final 2, the worst figures of 2024 as voted by me. And the number 2 selection comes to us from McFarlane Toys. What? Oh, it was unison. It was Mark and Todd at the same time saying, what? Nah, you guys are lucky, especially you, Todd. Mark, I don't know why you're getting involved in this, but Todd, you're very lucky you didn't have more figures on this list. I know a lot of people are saying that King Kong recently should be on this top 10. I wouldn't quite put it there. A little bit disappointing, of course, for reasons we talked about, but there was one figure, heads and tails above all others, that was released from McFarlane this year. Just absolutely the hottest of hot garbage. Should be embarrassed to charge $50 for this figure, if we can even call it a figure at this point. What are we going? Of course, we're going to Batman. Why wouldn't we? Todd loves Batman. Todd, simmer down. Let me get through this this video unboxing, force of habit. Get me through this video here, but there's no denying. Once you see this, you're going to say, yeah, Kyle's exactly right. He's exactly right. We're going to Batman. We're going to the Detective Comics. We're going to the Night People. We're going to that Batman. Of course, a very cool idea in theory. It's a deluxe one. Came with a little base to it here. Very cool to get a little plastic base. You get a soft goods wire cape. You get a cool hard plastic cape as well. Just a very, very cool idea in theory. However, execution entirely different. Of course, you move his arm just a little bit of that arm movement, and what happens? The head and the cape, everything falls off. It happens for both versions of these capes. This head will not stay on with any arm movement. Why is that the case on an action figure? And people were actually defending this, Todd McFarlane, and it wasn't you. People defending this saying, oh, it is a really good figure. You shouldn't move the arms on it. Well, why does it have the action feature to move the arms if I shouldn't move the arms on it? People are saying, oh, it just displays great standing up. Well, then why don't we make it a statue? Todd loves statues. Make it as a statue, not an action figure, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. If you want to display this, pose this in any way in your collection, it's not going anywhere, because every time you move the arm, the head and the cape is falling off with both of these. It's just embarrassingly bad. How did nobody get this on the line and say, wait a minute, we got a huge issue with this one. This head isn't staying on. And if nobody said that, shame on them for not doing their job. And then if they did catch that and they said, just put it through, nobody will care. Even worse, if you ask me. So definitely the hottest of hot garbage, just very embarrassing, and McFarlane Toys easily their worst figure of this year, and they had a lot of good figures, but this one for the price point, absolutely embarrassing. I cannot recommend this to anybody. Even if you're a mint on card collector, I would not pick this one up. And that's what other people said, well, it's great to me, I'm a mint on card guy. Well, once again, that's not the point. It's unfortunately just a very bad execution in action figure form here. So bad, in fact, it comes in at number 2, but can there be a worse figure this year? Apparently there can, and we're going to dive into it at number 1. All right, we've arrived at the top of the heap, of the garbage heap, that is, as we're going to unveil the number 1 worst figure of 2024 as voted by me. Once again, get your list together, put it in the comments down below. And I guess the joke's on me for this one a little bit is this alpaca sweatshirt, whatever it is here. Man, it is warm. Man, it is hot under these lights. I'm all fired up about number 2 selection. Todd and I have been jarring from the couch. I'm all fired up. I'm sweaty. It's a sweaty unboxing, and it is truly just fitting for the worst countdown of 2024 as voted on the channel. However, I'm going to throw a little asterisk here. Now, this isn't going to be part of the top 10 because I can only grade and judge things that I've actually unboxed here on the channel, but clearly there far and away is a worst figure of 2024. It's just not going to be on this list. I know you guys have wrote in about it. You all agree with me. We all hate this figure equally. What are we talking about? What is truly the worst figure not part of this list? Well, we go to NECA. We go to the ultimate John Bon Jovi figure. Are you kidding me, NECA? What were you thinking releasing this one? We didn't see it out there at mass retail because they knew it wouldn't sell. It's the hottest of hot garbage I've ever seen. Even if you love Bon Jovi and you just love Bon Jovi, you're slippery when wet all the time for him, you're a little runaway, whatever it may be, you look at this figure and you say, is this Bon Jovi? Is this really Bon Jovi? Just some of the hottest garbage ever put to plastic. Embarrassingly bad. So bad I couldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. I did say earlier this year, the only way I would unbox this is if somebody sent it to me, and nobody wanted to send it to me because you guys all like me that much. You guys like me that much. Nobody sent that Bon Jovi figure to me. And I guess I appreciate each and every one of you even more for not doing that, playing that ultimate joke on me. So Bon Jovi, clear it away, probably the worst figure of all time, not just 2024, but not going to be part of this list. He's just going to have a little asterisk off to the side. But now we're truly at the number one figure, the worst figure of 2024. Just absolutely god-awful right out of the package. One of the most disaster-filled reviews we've ever done here on the channel. And we go to one of my favorite lines of the last couple of years, but like I said earlier, the highs and lows of this line. What are we talking about? Well, for number one, we're going to Super 7. We're going to the Ultimate Edition from The Simpsons. We're going to Devil Flanders. And I have to hold this like this because he does not stand. His legs fall off just very, very easily. Just a lot of quality issues with this one. Whoever was watching the line when this came out should be immediately fired over there in the factory because hottest of hot garbage here. A cool idea in theory. Obviously, we would have rather had the original version of Flanders before we got to this. That's neither here nor there. That's one of the things that plagued this line, of course. But for this figure to not even stand, to just crumple to dust, basically, with its legs falling off at the drop of a hat, just absolutely embarrassing for quality issue-wise. Just very, very frustrating line. And like I said, some of these Super 7 Simpson figures, some of the best figures of the year, if you saw that countdown. However, Flanders, far and away the worst figure we unboxed in 2024 on this channel, goes to Devil Flanders. And I guess the devil is in the details, as some may say. So there it is, Super 7 Ultimate, Ned Flanders as the devil, the worst figure of 2024. Once again, get your list together. Put it in the comments down below. Be interested to hear your thoughts down in those comments. Put them in order. That's the hard part, but that is the fun part too. Subscribe to this YouTube channel. Check out all the other best of videos. It's not about the worst. I only got one worst video. It's a lot of best of, so check those out as well. It's a positive channel for the most part, except sometimes like this video, we can't be positive. We can't look past those things. So there it is right there. But like I said, subscribe to the channel. Check out the Patreon, ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson. My book available on Kindle, A Complete Guide to the Jakks Class Superstar Series. Check me out on TikTok, and of course, SirPaul64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So for the worst of 2024, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.